Alright guys, I had a lot of requests for people that wanted to know about the Glock sights. I figured I probably would. So I'm going to try to do my best in this video to go over installing the sights and, you know, different things. I've done a lot of these over the years, going back for a long time. There's things that you can look up on my channel, and you can see me actually install sights step by step. But there is some tips that I've learned along the way that I really believe will help individuals, okay? When you do things, there's always little tips and hints and secrets that really make a job, turn a job around 360 degrees and make it much better, more efficient, make it easier to do. And that's what I'd like to do. You know, I'm not claiming to be an expert at all. I just want to show you guys the tips that I know on doing this. Okay, what I did was, this is the XS sight system, the Big Dot package, and they all come with this, I believe it's a nylon punch right here, and also the front screw tool for the front sight. So basically, your two main tools are the nylon punch and the front sight screw. The front sight screw, I believe you can get online for about $3. There's some sites out there that try to sell real high-end ones and, want to charge a bunch of money. You just need nothing fancy at all. You just need a front sight tool. Should be $3, $4, okay? And this nylon punch with it, which is, pretty much nothing either as far as money goes. Okay, so this is my Glock 43. As you guys know, I just put the XS Big Dot sights on that the Crazy 45 cat was nice enough to send over my way. And I freshly frog lubed this gun yesterday. I might just normally let mine sit overnight. You only need an hour to wipe off the frog lube, but I do mine late, and by the time I'm done, I just want to go do something else. And it's late at night, and I just let mine sit till the next day. But I just love the sheen that frog lube does to these, to my handguns and, rifles, whatever else. Love frog lube, guys. Okay, so you're gonna have to have a hammer too. I didn't bring a hammer out here, so I guess we'll just pretend I have one when I'm trying to show you stuff. Now, when you're removing the Glock factory sights, like I told you guys, I literally had this gun on my lap, sitting in my chair, and pounded it out. Now, you don't need a vise, you don't need all these other things. Now, the trick on this, when you go to get the Glock factory sights out, which are probably shaped a little bit different than this, you want to go at an angle, okay, when you're on the Glock sight. It's like the punch is like almost like it's hitting the slide and the sight at the same time. These sights are shaped different, so it doesn't really seem to have the same effect. Let me get a Glock sight out here and show you what I'm trying to show you, because I just want to make this as clear as I can. So like your Glock sight, you see the way the angle is, how it's shaped there. What you're going to do is you're going to put your punch like this on. It's going to kind of be like on the Glock sight and the slide channel at the same time. This will not hurt your gun. I repeat, this will not hurt your gun. This little piece of material is about as heavy as a crayon, and it's made out of nylon. So you want to come at this at an angle. Like, you don't have to go up here, way up here and, drift this off. You kind of go at an angle at the base where it's like you're going toward the slide of the gun. So you're actually coming in at an angle here on those, when it's the Glock sights you're pounding out. You're coming in at an angle like this. Now what this does is it gives you more stability when you make your hits, okay? That's how I was just holding this gun and doing it in my lap. So it's kind of like most of the nylon punch is on the sight, and you're angling the nylon punch like this toward the slide, okay? You don't have to come up here to the ears and pound straight over. I hope this is making sense to you guys. You want to go at an angle like this, okay? And if it's your first time doing it, you're like, well, I really need a stable platform, and I can understand that. You don't have a vise, hey, no problem. You get a roll of tape, you set your roll of tape on the table, you set the part where your sights are over the tape like a roll of duct tape, and then you pound the sight over the hole of the roll of tape, okay, or anything that's got a hole in the center. You put where the sights are over the opening, and you pound the sight out, and you can do that on a flat surface, which will make it easier. You know, not everybody's going to be able to do this just, you know, in their lap like I do. But I just kind of go at it at an angle. I go down at an angle like this. I make hits at an angle like this. Just a few hits and it was off. I had no struggle at all. Okay, now let's talk about centering the rear sight, which is very important. Okay, some people think. Let me clear up a myth. Okay, I'm kind of tripping over my words here. Let me clear a myth up for you guys here. Some people think and ask me, do I take digital calipers to each side of the sight here and make sure that the space is even? And the answer to that is absolutely not. You know, I understand some people are new, so I'm not going to make fun of you for saying that, but absolutely not. Here's the deal. When you put this in this sight channel, you want to look on each side, and you have to constantly turn this gun and look at it 20 times for the shadow. Because I can look at this gun right now a certain way, and you would swear to me, if you're looking at it from that view, that there's more space on this side than there is on this side. Now, if I reverse the gun in the same lighting, now it looks like there's more space on this side of the rear sight channel. And it's just not the case. It is just absolutely not the case. So what you want to do is put it in there by eye while it's still loose. Tighten these screws just a hair so the sight will move, but it moves with resistance. Then hold the gun with the light coming down from the ceiling straight up like this. Look at your edges here. Okay, this is only the first part. I've got other ways to determine if this is centered too. Stay with me here. I'm just doing this slow for the new guys. So you're going to want to, the first things you're going to check is you want to eyeball it and get it to where you think, okay, I think that this is good. Space on both sides. And now what you want to look for, this is very important and it makes things, can help you very much in this. There's a square edge up here on every Glock. There's a square, a faint square. It's not square like a rectangle, but there's a line on every Glock on the slide before it rounds over the edge. The rounded edge is right here where I've got this little tool, and the top of the round edge is at the top. There is a perfectly straight, perfectly flat edge on both sides of this gun running up. Now, the next important thing I do is I check this flat edge before this distinct break that curves, it rounds over. You check that distinct square edge and look at it to where it pertains to the little ears that come up on these big dot sights. And you will be able to much more assure yourself if your sights are where you need them to be by this. I guarantee you that. It might not show on camera as good as it does in person, but I guarantee you there is a distinct line that runs down here on both sides of the slide. And in relationship to these peaks on this sight, you can look right down here against the sight and see if these square, if these pretty sharp lines are at the same place in the shoulder of the sight. Okay? Now there's a third way to determine if these are, let me try to show you here. I want to try to see if I can show you here that you see this edge before it rounds off and rounds off. Just look at, don't look at the sight channel. Just look at this edge according to the shoulders of the sight itself, and you see how square that is. And you can see that if it's square or if it's not square. If these two flat edges meet at the same point on this sight, that's your second way to tell. Now the third way is to turn your gun like this. And what you're doing here is you're just kind of making a mental note with your eyes of where the center is back here, and you're checking this white line to see if it runs with the center of the back of the gun. So let's say you say, hey Paul, I don't like the way you're telling me to do my sights. I don't trust that and I want to be more precise. Okay. Get a tape measure out, put it across here, and take something fine, like a grease pen or something that you can wipe off, and make your mark right over the break of the rear of the slide here, according to your measurement here with the ruler, okay? Now, when you set the sight, you can look at this line according to your line that you made right here, and then set your sight and wipe that line off. I don't have to do that. I'm telling you guys, if you center this rear sight by eye, and you do all the tricks I just told you, and by eye, there is no possible way to tell that this sight is off center. If you go to the range and you miss, or you miss significantly one way or the other, it's your trigger control. It's not the sight. I see guys that have factory Glocks and they jack this sight all up to the side, way over to one edge where they're clear at the edge of the sight channel, and you got a big gap over here, and they're like, yeah, this Glock sight was off when I got it. No, it's not. You're off. You are jerking the trigger, you don't have trigger control, and you're pulling the shot, so you just need more practice, okay? That's all. You just need more practice. Now let's go to the front sight. I wish they made the front sight a better install. Out of everything you can do with these, the front sight is the thing that gives me the most trouble, and I'm going to tell you why. There's an oval hole that's cut in the slide under this front sight, and the front sight post is oval, okay? Which comes in where you need your second tool, which is just a few bucks like I mentioned before. You need this silver, one of these two silver ones, those are the same thing. That's the little tool that goes up on the screw underneath the slide. Okay, that's how you're going to get your sight off of there. So basically, right here is the screw. This little $3 silver tool is what you're going to use to get that off of there. For both factory and non-factory Glock sights. Okay, so here's the deal. Here's why the front sight gives me more trouble than anything. You're turning the screw, if you're holding the slide like this, you're turning the screw clockwise with the tool. You're turning it clockwise, okay? So even though there's an oval cut in the slide and the sight post is oval, it is not a perfect fit. There is a little bit of play back and forth, just enough to bother you, okay? There's like an eighth, maybe not even an eighth, but both ways. So what happens is when you go under here and you tighten this screw and you're looking at the sight, on that final crank, as with anything, that when it gets tight, when that gets to its full tightness, the last thread, it takes and it tries to cant your sight toward where the screw's turning. Like anything in life that you use screws on or different things. It tries to naturally pull the sight to where you're turning. So what you have to do is get the screw started, and I didn't talk about Loctite. We'll go back to that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm kind of all over the place. What you have to do is get the screw started, okay, and look at this sight and say, is it good? Do I think it's good? Look at your front edge right here in accordance to the front edge of the slide wall right here, to this break where there's kind of a square line and it breaks off. Look at the front edge that this green tool is on the sight according to that. And as well as along the sides, and turn for your lighting. Shadows will play tricks with you all day. Shadows will make you crazy. Learn to turn, okay? Turn at every angle. Now, when you're cranking this screw in down here, and it's just about to get to the end, to the tightest it can be, you take your finger and you put it on this sight, And I'm talking about you press down and you hold that thing with some force with your finger. You're not going to hurt anything. Hold back here and press that thing down and hold, and take your tool and you do that final crank, and then you hurry up and look, because that Loctite hasn't set yet, and you can back it off and move it. So the most important thing with the front sight is to always hold it before the final crank, because this sight will naturally pull its slack with the screw when the screw gets all the way tightened, because the screw is going this way. At the end of the threads, the screw will also pull whatever slack it has just a shade or a hair to that way. Now, as for the Loctite, you want to put Loctite under, okay, the hole, we'll say the hole's back here for the sight post, and it ends about right there. You want Loctite under the front of this sight that's going to sit on the frame of the gun. You want Loctite under that. You want to Loctite this screw before you put it in. And before that, you want to clean everything with rubbing alcohol, isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Clean the parts with that. It'll dry right off. The rubbing alcohol just like dries with as soon as the wind hits it. So you're going to put Loctite under the sight and on the screw, and put that screw in. Once you get everything lined up, you take Q-tips and you wipe the excess Loctite from around the sights, making sure not to get any on the like white edges or on the tritium. Okay, and you go in here and you wipe out the excess. On the back here, you're going to put a drop of Sherlock right here, or Loctite right here. On these edges right here, very important, on these edges, because it'll go in underneath the sight, and you put a drop here and a drop here. And what happens is and then you wipe it with a Q-tip, it all pushes and seeps in around this sight, and it'll hold it secure. So I really hope this helps somebody. Sometimes when I do videos, I don't use no notes, guys. Sometimes I forget things, as anyone would, especially when I'm in front of a camera. I hope I didn't forget anything important. If I did forget anything important, I will try to put a comment about it in the messages below. But that's what I do, and love this thing. The trigger is nice. It's definitely a self-defense trigger. There's no lightness. There's no like too light to this trigger at all. You have to deliberately pull this trigger. It's got the ghost edge, but this trigger's a deliberate pull still. There is no like, oh man, this thing's like, you know, a 1911, or it's really light. You have to deliberately pull this thing. You're not going to bump it off. But at the same time, this trigger is very nice. Very nice. And the factory one wasn't bad either, you know. But there it is, guys. This is my Glock 43. There's the XS Big Dot night sights. I highly recommend sighting out your guns. I wish I had my other ones here. I'd show you. I got several night sights on guns. I highly recommend these, guys. The XS Big Dot night sights. They're not for everybody. Other ones I recommend. Let's talk about that. I recommend Trijicon HDs. I actually have a relative with those sights, and I really, really like them. And I want to put them on something soon. So I recommend Trijicon HDs. I recommend XS Big Dot night sights. Make sure the rear's tritium as well if you get anything bigger than these little tiny Glocks. These don't come with that. But if you get like a G19 and you're looking on eBay and you're like, oh man, this sight is $20 less than the other one, this sight set. That's because the rear is probably not the tritium and just the front is. So, you know, pick and choose whatever you want. So Trijicon HDs, these, there's some nice Mepro lights out there. I'm trying to think here, guys. I know I'm missing a lot. I know there's some operator sight. I know there's one I like real well where it's got a line, a horizontal line going this way, and a square sight up here. I love my David Bowie tactical sights. Look those up. Those are on my David Bowie M&P. I love the David Bowie operator sights. One of the best sighting systems I have ever used, literally. So it's a David Bowie operator sights, and then like I said, there is some sights. Goro was walking by the table when that happened, and he like scrunched down and took off. There's a line, like I said, back here, and a square on the front. There's a lot of good choices out there, guys. I can't, I don't know them all by memory. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. And that's it for this one. You can do your own sights. Don't be intimidated. Look up my video. How to install XS Big Dot night sights. I think it says in HD or in Glorious HD. Look that up on, just put in Humans for Targets 2, how to install XS Big Dot night sights. It's a up close, in your face video, like 3 inches from the camera, of me doing an entire gun from start to finish. And it'll really help you if you want to do your own night sights. All right, guys, until next time, this is H4T. I appreciate all my subscribers, all my viewers. I got some really nice people on here that I conversate with. I'd like to name names, but I'm afraid I'll miss people. But there's a lot of you that you know who you are, that we talk a lot in comments, and I always enjoy seeing your comments. Even though I don't know who you are, you know me, and I enjoy your comments. All right, guys, have a great weekend, and I'm out.